It's your boy Young Cantu coming in, Airshow Sports, with another edition of Up on Game with my young boy CJ coming in from Denver. What's up, Siege? Not much, man. Here to talk some more NFL. Another show, another week, another recap and review of what just happened. Siege, I gotta say, man, it's been a very interesting early start to the season, and I can't wait to chop it up with you, man.
Yeah, man. You saw a lot of videos come out on Twitter of Giants fans talking about how bad the pick was. Everybody on ESPN, Fox Sports, and all those big companies were talking bad on Daniel Jones and saying like, they chose him with the sixth pick and he wasn't, worthy of going that high in the draft, and they could have got him later in the draft, but the Giants chose him at six anyway. So to see him get booed, and then to see him get, or this last week, really,
Yeah.
oh man, it's what like I just supported him. He was balling, and then everybody, he's the unicorn. He's the face of the franchise now. Same thing's going on with um, Daniel Jones. So I just think it's a lesson to, let things play out and don't, jump to conclusion. Especially as so early as the draft. So I think that was my most interesting topic of the week to
Yeah.
me. So what did you
For
think
sure,
about
man.
that whole
Yeah.
thing?
So Daniel Jones, man, I didn't have enough cojones to pick him in the game, dude. I mean, but I couldn't believe it, man. I was like, Daniel Jones, he did it, dude. I couldn't believe it, man.
After throw, like you could just really see, even with up, the Giants aren't the best hanging in the pocket. He was making pretty good throws. He comes from that quarterback tree. David Cutcliffe, I think he was a coach at Duke now. He used to coach at Ole Miss in Tennessee. So he comes from that Manning
Yeah.
tree. He's real tight with the Mannings. And Daniel Jones came up underneath.
No, CJ, I could see why the Giants were high on him because I like his attributes. I didn't really see him play in college, and he's a tall, strong quarterback who steps in and can make throws under duress. He's accurate, and as we saw, CJ, he was able to score on his feet as well. So that's encouraging, man. That was something that Eli Manning wasn't bringing to the table for them. So I think the Giants should be optimistic about their future and should be optimistic about Daniel Jones. Hell yeah, let's go. Yeah, but he was limping in excitement though. Siege, did you see after? Yeah, but he's out a few weeks. He'll be back though. It will be interesting, but big ups to him. He gets his win in his first NFL career start. He had to come back, Siege. I believe they were down 31-10, something like that. And he brings them all the way back and leads them to a victory and has the Giants believing now. But we'll see how they do this upcoming week. Now, moving on, a review and recap on the Baltimore Ravens versus Kansas City Chiefs game. Siege, the Chiefs were well in hand throughout the game. Lamar Jackson didn't turn it up until late. So the Chiefs just dominant. What did you make of that game, bro? Oh, damn. We'll get to that, man. Yeah. Yeah, they got Mark Ingram. They'll be all right. I saw a little bit. Once I saw that the Chiefs were well in hand, I didn't really pay much attention to it. At the end of the day, they were expected to win. It was in Kansas City, so that's a tough place to play. And I don't really judge Baltimore too heavily on it. But if they do meet Kansas City in the playoffs, I would obviously favor Kansas City. Damn. Yeah. That's interesting, and I think that's important to note when you take it into perspective on which teams could really make a push later in the season. We'll see if the Chiefs and the Patriots stay healthy and on top of their game. And moving on, those seeds, we got to talk about your team, man, that actually was competitive. I'll give them that, man. They were in the game against the Packers, man. My assessment overall, it was a tough game for them to win on the road, Siege, and but I will say I liked a little bit of the fight from them, something we hadn't really seen in the first 2 weeks. Damn. Yeah, that was a tough loss at home. Uh,
That thorough, but he got the ball stripped right out of his hands, and then the Packers ended up scoring another touchdown on that drive. So, bro, it was 14-10. It with like 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. By the time 3 minutes ran off the clock in the third quarter, it was 28-10. from those 2 turnovers. So that that's really what lost them the game. They did compete. They did try to come back, and it's a lot to talk about with this team. But did you see this game at all? What did you think of the Broncos' performance before I go on a little bit more about them?
Yeah, I mean, I like that they were competitive, Siege, against one of the top NFC teams right now with a hot defense, the Packers, who have a really sound defense. But we saw the Broncos were able to burst some nice runs with your boy, number 30. I saw a couple of his runs. So, what's his name, Siege, number 30?
Philip Lindsay, Denver product.
Yeah, from Colorado.
Yes, sir.
He's a good little scatter, dude. He's good.
Man, he just got that dog in him. He runs with a lot of heart. If you saw his touchdown, he had our rookie lineman, Dalton Reisner, suplexed him in the end zone, but it was a 4th and goal. The Broncos went for it. It was a crucial play in the game, obviously, when you go for it on 4th. And he actually got carried in by Reisner, but it was just like he was stopped 1 yard behind the line, spun out of it a little bit, got help from his lineman, but it was just, he looked like, even on the broadcast, like you heard him getting ready to say that, he's short down on the 1 yard line, Packers ball, but then out of nowhere, Phil spins around and gets tossed in the end zone, and that was a really big play for the Broncos. So it was just plays like that just shows his determination, his heart. He plays hard. He's really, he wants to be great. That's the big part of it. He really wants to be great, and his work ethic shows, his determination shows. So I really like Phil. I think Royce Freeman had a good game. He actually had a touchdown. A huge touchdown that swung the game. He got it called back on a Emmanuel Sanders hold, which if you see the play, bro, is a terrible call, man. It's just these refs, like, sometimes they like a flag that's ticky-tack that really doesn't affect the play too much.
Yeah.
Can swing the whole game, man. And it happened to us last week with the Bears, too. It wasn't an obvious hold. It was just a little slight tug, but, the guy wasn't going to make the top anyway, so why throw the flag? But that took away a Royce Freeman touchdown, which would have put the Broncos up 17-14. Royce Freeman touchdown. But I can't remember what happened that drive. We might have got a field goal or something. But obviously that's a touchdown. What happened that drive? Obviously that's a touchdown. But I gotta ask you before. First team in 50 years, the Broncos right now without a turnover or a sack through 3 weeks of the NFL season. What do you think about that stat? Right now, no team has done that in 50 years, and the Broncos have thought. No team has done that. Defenses, especially pass rush in the NFL, and they have 0 sacks and 0 turnovers in 3 full weeks of the NFL season.
Wow, 0 sacks and 0 turnovers. Well, I would say a little bit of maybe they're not taking too many risks, Siege.
Yeah, I mean, Vic Fangio, new head coach, came over from the Bears. I do see Von Miller dropping in the coverage a lot, which is I don't really like that too much. I mean, I'm not the coach, obviously. I don't really know the whole scheme, but
you know
it just
what?
seems like Von Miller's dropping the coverage a little too much this year. And he needs to really rush the passer.
He's not as productive as he can be, I feel like.
I think Fangio's trying to turn him into a complete player, not just a pass rusher. Like, he had that quote early in the season that he thinks Von could be more of a complete player. So I think Fangio's trying to do a little bit more, be more creative with Von, use him in different spots, which is why you see him dropping the coverage more often. But I just think at this point, we're 0-3, and it's just we need to just get back to doing what we were best at in the past, which is creating turnovers by getting pressure on the quarterback. If you don't get pressure on the quarterback, it's hard to get turnovers because the quarterback has all day to throw, and the receivers have all day to make adjustments on their routes, play the scramble drill, and do all that to get open. So they really need to get that pass rush going, and I can't believe they haven't got a sack through 3 weeks of the year. It's crazy.
It is crazy, man, but it's still early. They're 0-3 in the hole. Who they got this week, Siege?
I'll tell you our next 3 weeks, and you might laugh when I say this, but our next 3 games are very winnable. So we could easily be 3-3 just like that. I mean, if you look at Broncos Twitter, all hell done broke loose. The season's over. It's time to trade Von Miller, which I personally, I wouldn't mind that actually, but just everybody's going crazy.
Damn.
Everybody's going crazy on Twitter talking bad about the Broncos. It's time to get ready for the Nuggets, this, that, and the third.
Wow.
But it's only 3 weeks into the season, bro. Last year, the Houston Texans started 0-3, made the playoffs. Last year, the Colts started 1-5, ended the season 10-6. They went like 9-1 the rest of the year. So it's time to get ready.
So who they got, Siege?
Early,
who's their
bro.
next 3?
So let me check this out. We got Jacksonville this week at home, another 0-3 team. Well, did Jacksonville get a win? They might be 1-2. But,
Jacksonville just beat the Titans.
they beat somebody by 1 point. I remember.
Gardner
At
Minshew.
home, another.
Gardner Minshew.
Check this out. We got Jacksonville coming to Denver this weekend, and then we got the Chargers in LA, which is always a home game.
That's a good game
because there's no fans. The Chargers don't have a fan base in LA. So it's really a road game because the Broncos fans travel so well that stadium is filled with more Broncos fans than Chargers fans every time. So, and it was like that in San Diego too. So that's really going to be a home game on the road for the Broncos, and they could easily win that. And then you got the Titans, and they're having a lot of problems right now too. So you get those 3 wins, boom.
The Titans are winnable.
Yeah, all 3 of those games are winnable. And then you got the Chiefs the next week, and if that's going to be the game to tell the season. You beat the Chiefs at home Thursday night, your whole season changes. But if you lose to them, you never know. But that'll be like the Broncos Super Bowl in the regular season.
Yeah, see, they have to go minimum 2-1 in these next 3 to really stay afloat in the AFC West. They have to beat the Chargers, dude. They can't lose to the Chargers in their own division. Personally, I think the Jaguars game is a trap game. Either team can win. It would be nice if they can get that win to start this next 3-game slide. But I believe I think the Chargers game is winnable, Siege, and I think that the Titans game is winnable. The Titans haven't looked very powerful ever since their season opener against the Browns. So we'll see what happens, Siege. I mean, they were in it with a tough Packers team, in the NFC. So I'm not counting your Broncos out. I'll just say that, but I ain't betting on them.
Check this out. So you said you're not counting us out, but you're not betting us, all that.
Yeah.
All right, so we obviously know the Patriots and the Chiefs are the top of the AFC, right? Those two, the top 2 teams, right? You want to know teams, right? So 6 teams make the playoffs.
Yeah,
so
let's go.
6 teams, the 7th team in the AFC right now. Which team is 1 game away from the playoffs right now in the AFC?
I feel it's multiple teams, though, right? It's all teams.
Just a wild guess. And I'm going to tell you who it is, and you might be shocked.
I'll say
which team today?
What?
I'm gonna tell you. Guess who's
I'll guess off top. I think it's the Jaguars, maybe.
It's the Raiders.
The Raiders.
The Raiders are the 7th seed in the AFC at a 1-2 record. So if the Broncos can win the next 3 games to get them to 3-3.
So you're going for wild card.
AFC losing right now. It's easily that they could still make the playoffs. So it's just early in the season. Fans are emotional. They react off every moment. Every game is life or death. So they can't understand the process of a full year and how things change. A lot of ebbs and flows, and just a lot of things change.
Yo, Siege.
Yeah, what's up, man?
So you're gonna say the Broncos are gonna go 3-0 in their next 3 or what?
And I'm not ready to predict that. I got to see it first. I'm just saying that those are winnable games. That's all I'm saying. It's 3 winnable games. I predict they'll beat Jacksonville this week, and then I'm going to just take it week by week after that.
Good deal. Moving on, Siege. My Rams stay undefeated, and they beat the Browns in primetime, man. Let's go, man. We're playing some defense. The Browns played well in the first half, but what did I tell you about Cooper Kupp, man? He's Jared Goff's main target.
Yeah, it's a safety net. I like the Rams. I got to ask you about those Browns, though. Like, it's just not looking like how everybody thought it would, especially me in the preseason. I was really high on the Browns. What do you think is the problem? Like, why aren't they in sync and just dominating like everybody thought they would? Is it just the Rams' defense was too good? Was it Aaron Donald getting too much pressure?
You saw Aaron Donald getting pressure on Baker Mayfield. He's a mobile quarterback, but my boys got after him, man. Yo, we're the truth, bro. Like, don't get it twisted, dog. We're here to stay. Like, let's get it. But nah, man. The Browns. We'll see if they're competitive in their division. Don't count the Steelers out. They were in a tough game against the Niners. So don't count the Steelers out. When it comes to those AFC matchups, like the divisional matchups, those are tough games. Those are 50-50 games because those teams see each other every year. So the Browns historically have not been a great franchise. I know they're a hot team to jump on because they got all these big time players, but collectively they still have to put it together, man. So, but the Rams are a good team. I'm still not like passing judgment on the Browns either at this point. But my Rams, man, we're on top. Let's get it, Siege. And we're here to stay, man. 2 in a row. We beat your Saints the other week. Let's go.
Man, I was watching that game. I can't remember what the score was, but it was late in the game. It was like 4th and 9, and Browns head coach Freddie Kitchens, he runs a draw play with the game on the line on
Yeah, he
fourth
thought he
down.
was being
He
smart.
runs a draw play, and it's just like what? Like why, man? It's just like when you get like a 3rd and 15 or just a third long. Like that's just one completion away from a first down. But time and time again, you see these coaches run a screen or a draw, and then all the players are like, "Oh, like come on, like you just giving up the down basically." And you got the game on the line, like you're not about to surprise nobody with a draw. Like the game is on the line, like nobody's about to get fooled and faked out. They obviously see the running back is standing behind the quarterback, getting ready. It's just you got to come. I think you got to get the ball in the hands of your best player in that situation. I'm not saying Odell is their best player. I think he obviously is their best weapon, but he didn't really have the best game. But you still got
Hey,
Jarvis
oh,
Landry. You
yo,
got
Siege,
guys,
this
man.
is what I wanted to talk to, dude. And I know you were watching it because you were watching the game. Did you like? Okay, I was looking at it, and um, the Rams play their coverage kind of how I said that they should. They kind of switched off their coverage to the field. They would go zone, and Akeem Talib would play that like deep third, Siege, where if anybody tried to go deep on, he would just man up with them deep. But he was playing zone, and like he was disguising his coverage, man. Like they played a good coverage against those boys in Cleveland. So you got to give credit to Wade Phillips and those
About
guys. So
that. About that. You want to know what I heard about Aqib Talib when I was listening to the radio earlier today? What I heard?
what would your
So I hear Wade Phillips, obviously Wade Phillips and Aqib Talib, they got that connection being in Denver when they won Super Bowl in 2015. Wade was
oh
our D coordinator and Aqib was a corner. So they got a couple years and experience together. So I was listening to the radio and they was talking about it. And apparently on certain plays, and it's not just it's a few times a game, Wade Phillips will just let Aqib Talib. He has no assignment. So they'll run like a zone or something and then he
what?
just lets it keep freelance. Just read the quarterback and freelance.
Yeah.
He's not manned up. He's not zoned. He's just reading the quarterback and he's just freelancing just to make plays. And Wade Phillips trusted Keith to do that because I remember when Keith Talib was in Denver, like he would always talk about how much film he watched, like how he really took that seriously, studying his opponent,
Hell yeah.
reading keys, knowing what the receivers are going to do, formations. So Keith's really a student of the game. He might be a knucklehead off the field, but he's really smart
Nah, he
on the
just runs his
field.
mouth, man. He's all
You
love,
know,
man. That
you
fool's
know what
cool.
it is. He one of us. You feel me? That's just what it becomes sometimes.
Let's go.
But anyway, yeah, like Wade Phillips trusts him to just freelance and just make his own plays. So I think that's really a key thing for y'all defense to have your D
Hell
coordinator
yeah.
and corner of the team have that trust and that relationship like that.
And I think you've heard the term, and we've said it in the past, is like, if you have a player out there that's an extension of your coach on the field, man, it's just going to make your defense more collective, more, in the right direction and making plays. And Talib is that quarterback of the defense.
Do you think he's a potential Hall of Famer at the end of his career?
Hell yeah. He was a notorious lockdown for the Broncos, and then I believe he played for the Patriots for a year, right?
Yeah, he did. They went to the Super Bowl that year, but I think that was when they lost the year they went to the Super Bowl with Akib. I can't remember which. Tom Brady been to the Super Bowl so many
Yeah.
times; it's hard to keep
I think
track.
they lost to the the
It was
the
one of those
Giants,
times they lost,
like
but Akib almost got his ring
2008.
with the Patriots. Who was it? Who was the opponent?
The Giants in 2012.
No, it was after that.
No,
It was after that. Who did they lose to? Because I don't think Akib won with the Patriots. I know they went to the Super Bowl, but I believe they lost. I just can't remember. Tom Brady been in too many Super Bowls, and maybe they won. But
he
off
sure
my
has.
memory and off the top of my head, I don't think they won that. But anyway, like he got the ring in Denver, so he is a Super Bowl champion. He was a part of a historic defense with the Legion of Boom, or not the Legion of Boom, with the no-fly zone. Which was a little bit different style than the Legion of Boom. But the no-fly zone, whenever you get like your group gets a name, named after them, it's obviously like a legendary, type of thing. So it'll go in history as one of the best defensive backfields in NFL history, and he was a part of that. And he has, I believe, 53 career interceptions. He took like 12 to the house, maybe 11. I think he's too short of tying Rod Woodson for the all-time lead in pick sixes. So he has, some stats to show for it. He has a Super Bowl championship. So I believe he's borderline. A lot of people I talk to say they don't believe he'll make it. Maybe just their personal bias, but I think he's worthy of possibly being in the Hall of Fame one day, especially if he keeps it up.
Akeem Talib?
Akeem Talib.
Yo,
He's not first ballot or nothing like that, but I
did
think
he
he
go
has a
to
chance
Kansas, Siege?
Yeah, he went to Kansas, just like Chris Harris.
He went to Kansas, the Jayhawks, who are horrible now.
And Chris Harris went to Kansas. Can you believe that?
That
Two
is
of the
crazy.
best corners went to Kansas. Never would have thought.
No, Akeem Talib is the truth. So
Yes.
he's a beast, and he got Peters, man. We're set, Siege. We're gonna keep winning. All right, let's get it. Saints beat the Seahawks.
What's wrong with the Seahawks, man? They just don't seem like they're the same Seahawks that they've been in years past.
It could be there's a saying in boxing, CJ. It's called when you're sleeping in silk sheets, it's hard to get up and train. Something to that extent. So basically, Russell Wilson just got paid a lot of money, man. So is he still hungry? Is he still motivated to perform to the standard he's getting paid for? Like, that's a question. And you can blame it on one guy, but from the Seahawks, I haven't watched too much of them. I just know they have no chance at claiming supremacy in the NFC West because my Rams are there.
Facts. Yeah, and you look at Saints on the other side. Teddy Bridgewater, he was a ultimate game manager. I watched a little bit of that game. It seemed like he didn't have to throw a pass over 5 yards. It was swing to the right, swing to the left, 5 yard curl, 5 yard slant, little hitch route. Like he was just dinking and dunking all the way downfield. I mean, he finished 19 and 27 for 177 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns. But, I mean, he just came in, just did his thing, took care of the ball, gave the ball to Kamara, got his receivers involved, did what he had to do to win. I'm curious to know if they'll step this up because I have the Saints going to the Super Bowl. And for them to reach the Super Bowl, they're going to need a pretty good seed in the playoffs this year to avoid going on the road against some of those NFC teams. So, they're really counting on Teddy to carry them over these next couple months with Drew Brees out. So I thought it was pretty interesting to see how careful and safe he was with the ball. You can tell he's just really not trying to make any game-breaking mistakes. He's not really taking too many chances downfield, and he's just getting his weapons the ball in space and letting them do their thing after the catch like Kamara and them. So we'll see what Teddy Bridgewater does, but I hope he keeps it up, to keep my prediction true. So
I feel that, and I know that they're going to play a tough team in the Cowboys this week. So we're going to see what he's made of. Is he going to stay efficient? He was pretty efficient against Seattle when you said his stats. So, that's just as effective as you would want, Siege. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, he was doing well when he was playing with the Vikings, I remember. And, I don't really see the Saints losing too much of a beat. I think this is more about the Saints as opposed to the Seahawks. But like I said, Russell Wilson just got paid a lot of money. Is he really motivated like he should be? I mean, it's easy to get complacent in that position, man. You gotta win games. You can't get beat at home against a road team in the NFC.
But who does he have though? He has Tyler Lockett. They got DK Metcalf, but they lost Baldwin. I'm not sure who their tight end is anymore. I'm not sure how good the weapons are around Russell Wilson for him to really flourish in that offense.
That's true. Then maybe they shouldn't have invested in him so much, but they need to invest in probably a game changer for them. Moving on, Siege. The Patriots handled the Jets. That was to be expected, and we have a graphic up. They took care of them, Siege, and the Jets are just in turmoil right now, in my opinion.
They really are. You look at the Jets. Le'Veon Bell, I just kind of wish he went to a better team, because I still think he's a really good running back at the top of his game. And just for him to go to the Jets, their quarterback who they had high expectations is going to miss a lot of time with that mono disease, that 18-year-old kids usually get. He's an NFL starting quarterback,
That's what I said,
and he's
man.
and he's missing games because of that. So, and they haven't really upgraded their talent on offense enough to really compete, in my opinion. Robbie Anderson's a pretty good receiver, and Noonan's a pretty good receiver, but I don't think they have enough dudes around. Well, I don't even. Who's their backup quarterback right now? Who do the Jets have playing
I
quarterback?
have no clue, man. I could care less
It
about the
was
Jets,
Trevor
man.
Simeon, but then he got hurt. So it's really like it's like their third or fourth string
Shout
quarterback,
out to
bro. It's
Brian Flores. Says Seahawks. He's got fire. Brian Flores is a Seahawk fan. Shout out to you, bro. But the
Sir.
Jets are irrelevant. Siege. Patriots staying undefeated, 3-0. Took care of the Jets. So I don't really see like much to talk about in that one.
Luke Falk is a quarterback, by the way. But
Luke
yeah, it's
Falk
really
from
not.
Washington State, dude.
Look at all these Washington State
Luke
quarterbacks starting right
Falk.
now in the NFL. Luke Falk, Gardner Minshew, and
Gardner
the list.
Minshew.
List goes on. Air raid quarterbacks are in style now. You
Dude,
got
but hey, Siege,
Mahomes.
did you see Washington State, dude? He threw 9 touchdowns, but they lost to UCLA.
How crazy is that? I didn't see none of the game, but I woke up the next morning and saw the score was 67-63, and then I saw some crazy comeback in the fourth quarter. Like, how do you throw 9 touchdowns and
And
lose?
lose.
Like, would you be mad after that game, Cantu? If you threw nine
Hell yeah, I'll
touchdowns,
be
can you
mad
be
at fucking
disappointed?
coach. I'll be mad. Excuse
But
my
you threw nine
language.
touchdowns, so how you gonna be mad after you threw
Be
nine
like, coach,
touchdowns?
I know we're trying to throw for 550 yards and 9 touchdowns, but
There's nothing you can do.
we
Like,
need
you
to run the
did all you
football,
could
coach.
do.
We need to run the clock out. We throwing the ball 63 times. Damn.
You got to change it up. That's ridiculous, man. 67, that's a basketball score, literally. Like, that's probably the average college basketball score, 67-63. And they did that in the
Hey
football
man,
game.
we just having fun with it. But shout out to UCLA. That was a big road win, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So moving on, Siege, Philadelphia at Green Bay. We're gonna start talking about our predictions for the week. That's the next topic at hand. Thursday night game, prime time. The Eagles are on the downward, and I'm impressed. Probably the biggest surprises of the season is that Green Bay defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, you look at Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith, the two free agent acquisitions for the Packers this year. They're really showing up this year, making plays, getting a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. We really got to start talking about Jair Alexander as maybe a top 5 cornerback in the NFL. He's really consistent. He's really good cornerback. He had a lot of good plays against the Broncos last week. He gets picks. He has good ball skills. He's good press man. Like he's good out of his break. He's a really good corner, and I think a lot of people don't give him as much props as he deserves. Maybe because he's a young player.
I
But
would say
I
they're
believe
flying
he
under
gets-
the radar, Siege, the Green Bay's defense, because they got a lot of guys that I don't really know. I've never heard their name before. So
Well, they got Blake Martinez. A lot of people might not have heard. Was Blake Martinez still on the Packers? I believe he even might have got hurt. But he's a really good linebacker, number 50 on the Packers. I don't even remember him playing in the Broncos game. Maybe he just didn't have a flashy game. But he's a really
I
good
saw him
young
out there,
linebacker.
Blake Martinez. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really good young linebacker. So they got some young pieces. Their safeties, Amos, and can't remember their other safety, but Amos, who they got from the Bears, he's a pretty good safety. So they got some guys on defense. They not the Bears, but the Packers typically don't spend money in free agency, and they say this was the offseason that they finally did spend some money, to get their defense going, and it's paying off for them. They're 3-0. Aaron Rodgers is. He had a quote saying last week was the cleanest he ever left the game after facing the Broncos. So they're protecting them well up front, and they might make a deep run in the playoffs this year. You got Aaron Rodgers. You can pretty much make anything happen.
Siege, are you ready to roll with the Packers? Like deep? Like, all right, they're my team.
Nah, I'm still on more on the Saints Cowboys bandwagon.
But in the NFC North, I think you picked
Oh, in
them.
the
I picked
NFC
them too.
North. Oh, I picked Minnesota to win the NFC North.
Oh,
And I'm
you
not ready
did?
to-
Dude,
Yeah,
I picked Green
Minnesota.
Bay, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not ready to come off that pick. They haven't played each other yet. Obviously they're going to play each other twice this year. They still have to play. Every team still has to play 14, 15 more games. So it's a lot of a lot of season left, and I'm gonna still roll with my pick of the Vikings. I like their defense, and I like. I'm not really too sure about Cousins, but I think they have enough pieces around them and Dalvin Cook, Thielen, and Diggs to make a lot of plays. So I'm sticking with my pick.
Damn, so you're gonna stick with the Vikings, man. They had a good game against the Raiders. Took care of them at home. All right, Siege. Well, I think the Packers are legit. I think Rodgers is out to make it happen. He's got a new OC. There's a learning curve there, but I think he's gonna be patient, and I think he's with a strong defense. The weight is not gonna be so much on him to produce. They're gonna be a better team collectively, and hopefully they keep winning.
Yeah, which is the key. You don't want Aaron Rodgers to, try to be the Aaron Rodgers of 10 years ago. You want to finally get him a great defense because he typically hasn't had too many great defenses throughout his career. So for him to have a solid defense this year, I think is big for just him being comfortable this year on the field. So for him to feel like he doesn't have to carry the team on his shoulders,
Exactly.
for him to, just be more relaxed and ease his mind a little bit. So we'll see what happens with the Packers. I like the Packers a lot, and Javante Adams is one of my favorite receivers in the league.
He's a
So
good route runner. And moving on, Siege, to the Patriots against the Bills, a topic of discussion. New England's coming in; they're 3-0, and the Bills are a surprising team early. They've looked good. What do you make of that game, Siege? Take a look at this one real
who
quick.
we got? Who's the home team in that one?
It's gonna be Sunday at 12 o'clock. The Bills are the home team, so New England's traveling to Buffalo.
Yeah, that's an interesting game just because you got two undefeated teams, and obviously they're in the same division. I think that a game would be emotional game, a hyped up game, but the Bills got to prove it to me that they can beat Tom Brady. So I don't even. It doesn't even matter who the home team is. I got the Patriots winning the Super Bowl this year. Business as usual. They're just so consistent. Like no matter what's going on, they just continue to win games. No matter who they got, Gronk. They got whoever they got. I don't even think Edelman's playing that well right now. No, Edelman had a really good game last week, but you look at some of their weapons, man. And even if without the addition of AB, you still got Edelman, N'Keal Harry. You still got Josh Gordon, obviously. So Tom Brady look like he's just having fun out there. If you look at Tom Brady on Instagram, he's coming out with all these videos. Just things that you typically don't see from star quarterbacks. Just kind of playing to the culture a little bit. So I think Tom Brady's having fun this year. He's probably going through a midlife crisis or something. Probably feels like he's 15 years younger than what he really is, but I like the Patriots a lot, and I think this would be a good game to watch. I think it'll be competitive, but I don't think the Bills will beat Tom Brady, but it's certainly possible.
It's not a midlife crisis, Siege. It's called a second wind. Like he's finding his second wind. Midlife crisis is when like he's under stress and stuff. Nah, man, he's playing like he's 20. He's like refound himself. But you know what? The Bills, dude, they're 3-0. Shit, just like that, we didn't. Nobody even thought the Bills were anything, and they're 3-0. Like, oh damn, wins over Cincinnati, the Giants, and the Jets. That's not saying much, but
It's not saying nothing at
that's not
all.
saying that anything at all. I mean, all those teams are on the down, but I think
Three
this
and
might
zero
be
is
a
3-0.
competitive game. This might be a competitive game, Siege. I mean, but Brady at the end.
It was all that matters. TB12.
All right, bet. We won't spend too much on that one. You got an intriguing matchup. The Kansas City Chiefs travel to Detroit, and that's a good game because Detroit's been surprising of late.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and make that my upset special of the week.
Oh,
Just based off the Lions playing at home in the dome. Like I said a couple weeks ago, teams that play in the dome they just play different at home. I think the Lions on the road are a completely different team than they are at home. So, shout out Miles Killebrew, and I think the
hey.
Lions. Yeah, I think the Lions got a chance to give Mahomes. Mahomes will be Mahomes, but with that Chiefs defense, I think this will be a shootout, and hopefully that Matt Stafford and their special teams unit can make some plays that make the difference in the game. So make that my upset special of the week. Lions over the Chiefs.
That's a good pick, Siege. And shout out to the homie Killa. He's killing the game. He had a big tackle on special teams where he did some crazy wild as like
A killer brew
yeah,
type
he
of
just
play.
hawked that fool. And they're undefeated. Siege, the Lions are undefeated. 2-0-1. They had that tie with the Cardinals at the opener. But they got wins over the Chargers 13-10 and then a 27-24 victory over Philly. So I think it's safe to say, Siege, if they win, they're going to win by a field goal because both their wins are by 3 points.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, like I said, teams that play in the dome and they play at home, they just play with a different type of energy. It's a certain type of aura, and maybe it's just the road team aren't used to that environment. I don't know what it is, but the Chiefs obviously have a really explosive offense, so I believe that'll travel and that'll continue in this game. But the Lions have not as equally explosive, but they got some guys on their side of the ball with Marvin Jones and Galladay, on Johnson in the backfield with the veteran Matt Stafford at quarterback. So you can't all the way count them out playing at home. So I'll make that my upset pick. I'm not too confident in that, but somebody got to be the guy to go on a limb. So I'm gonna say that.
An interesting note to touch on that game, Siege, is dude, Patrick Mahomes has already thrown for 1,195 yards, 10 touchdowns. Stafford is 831, 6 touchdowns. Um, I think they might be scoring some points. If you had to say, Siege, on a over under on this one, 54 points over or under on this
Most
game.
cer- most certainly over. I think this game is at least 35-30. I think both teams score 4 or 5 touchdowns. We throw a couple field goals in there. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it'll be like a 45-42, 45-41 type of win. I
Really?
think it'll be a lot of points. A lot of points. I mean, obviously, I could be wrong, but if I had to predict, yeah, I think it'll be 40-30, 42-45. Like, I'm definitely over 50. So I think I'm gonna say
Forty-five,
my spread is like an
37,
80. Something
45,
like that, yeah.
31. You know,
Yeah, that type of range. I think it'll be really high scoring.
interesting, man. All right, moving on to the next game on the docket is the Browns against the Ravens.
Yeah, what a game in the division, a rivalry game in the AFC North. You got the Browns struggling a little bit coming against the Ravens, coming off that loss against the Chiefs. I think this is a really important game for the Browns to show that they can compete in this division with their struggles they got going on right now. You got Baker Mayfield against Lamar Jackson, two of the quarterbacks of the future of the NFL. It's a really key matchup for both teams. Both teams really want to get off to a hot start in that division. It's going to be, like I said, with the Bills and Patriots game, it's going to be really emotional. It's going to be hard hitting, hard fought. I think it'll be close, and since I'm picked the Browns to win that division, I'm gonna pick them to win that game on the road. So give me the Browns.
Wow, you're taking them. You're gonna take the
I do like the
Browns.
Ravens though. I do like the Ravens a lot, but I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Browns. Who you got?
That's a tough game, Siege, but I think this is Ravens all the way. I'm still not convinced about Baker Mayfield and them, the Browns collective as a unit yet. I think that the Ravens are gonna continue their hot start, man. I think they got a loss last week against a very tough team, but I favor the Ravens against the Browns just for the simple fact that I think they're tougher.
Yeah, which is fair. And, that's like I said, this is going to be one of those tough matchups. Whoever's the tougher team might end up winning. It's going to be a game that's controlled up front in the trenches. I think whoever comes out more physical and dominant with that mindset, I think that's going to be the team that's victorious. So I think it is going to be one of those ground and pound, smash mouth type of games, and either team can win. It's just going to come out to who's tougher, who's meaner, and who wants it more.
Interesting note too. Mark Ingram's got 5 touchdowns on the year. CJ, that's a pretty good start for him. Lamar Jackson, 863 passing, 7 touchdowns, no picks yet. 63% completion percentage. He's been money. So I like Baltimore big time. You got Malik Brown right from Oklahoma or
Marquise
Marquise
Brown,
Brown. Marquise
Marquise
Brown.
Hollywood Brown.
He's badass, dude. He went to JUCO in California, a team that I had played against, and it's crazy to see how a JUCO guy is like killing the game. And killed the game at Oklahoma, and now he's doing it at the next level. It's crazy. So, what do you think about that, Siege?
I like Marquise Brown a lot. Obviously, he's a speed guy. Those are my type of guys. He ran a sub 4.4, I believe, like 4.34 or 4.35, something like that. The Ravens run that offense, a lot of play action. They run the ball a lot with Lamar and Ingram. So whenever you can get the safety to come up to the box a little bit,
Play
you
action.
got a guy running 4.3 coming up over the top. That's dangerous. So it's really the perfect receiver for that offense. And it seems like Marquise Brown and Lamar Jackson got a good connection going early, and it's going to be dangerous for years to come.
Cool, man. Now let's talk about this matchup with your Broncos. 3:25 p.m. Central Time game in Denver. Denver is a 3-point favorite right now.
Yeah, they gave us the favorite just based off being a home team, but it's pretty much a toss up. And I think we're more talented than the Jaguars. The Broncos are more talented than the Jaguars, but I just think because it's in Denver and the Broncos are going to be playing very desperate, and they know it's a must win, and they know that the pressure's on in the city to get this win. So I think because of that, they'll get the dud. Even though I've been saying that for the last 3 weeks. But they got to put it on the field. They got to actually go on the field and make it happen. The Jaguars have a really fast, tough defense. They have a really good defensive line. So it's going to be important that Flacco gets the ball out quick and early, which he kind of struggled with. So it's going to be imperative that we run the ball, control the clock like we've been doing all year, and just don't make the mistake. It comes down to turnovers. I believe whoever commits the most turnovers will lose this game. So I believe that's going to be the key stat is a turnover battle. The Broncos have been losing the turnover battle, obviously, without even creating a turnover all season. So all I got to say is Von Miller and Bradley Chubb better get sacks. And before, Bradley Chubb actually been playing pretty good. He's been really good in the run game. The Broncos have 3 quarterback pressures, even though they have 0 sacks, and they all came from Bradley Chubb. So Chubb's actually been playing pretty good this year. Now, yeah, like I said, he's been really good in the run game. So I believe both of them have to get sacks if they're going to win this game against your boy Gardner Minshew. So I
Gardner
got the
Minshew.
Broncos.
Nah, man. Stylistically, this is a tough matchup for the Broncos. You said it yourself. Jacksonville's got good team speed, good defensive speed, and against that Denver offense, Flacco he hasn't performed, man. He's got 2 touchdowns on the year. That's not gonna cut it, man. He's gotta be able to make it happen. I know he doesn't have too many weapons, but I think it's their style of play. They got to be methodical, control the clock, like you've said in the past, Siege. So if they are gonna win, they're obviously gonna win in a fashion that is probably not as explosive or fan friendly. Would you agree with
Yeah,
that?
I would agree with that. It's going to be one of those uglier type of games. We're not going to look nothing like the Chiefs or nothing like that. So if we're going to be successful, that's how it's going to have to be, which is fine by me. If you're a true football fan, you really have no problem with that style. So
But I mean, Siege, you believe that they're gonna be able to run the football then?
yeah, they have to. It's key. I mean, it might not, it might not be big explosive runs, but as long as they get 3-4 yards a pop, stay ahead of the chains. I'll take 30 carries or 30 or 35 carries from Royce Freeman and Philip Lindsay combined for 150 to 175 yards
Yeah.
because you know that they're controlling the ball, they're controlling the clock, they're moving the chains, and I'll take that. I'll take that style for sure.
So let me tell you this, Siege. So we have something to look for when we watch this game. Is like who do you give the edge to as far as the front seven? Denver's front seven offensively versus Jacksonville's front seven defensively, and what are you looking for as far as Denver to try to exploit?
There's no question Jacksonville has that edge. It's probably not even close. I just think the Broncos can exploit it by, just getting 3 to 4 yards. It doesn't have to be big, huge runs. Just get 3 to 4 yards on first down. Stay ahead of the chains. Hit your play action. Get the ball out quick. Be creative a little bit. Get your guys the ball in space. Just things like that. And you gotta think, bro. Jacksonville plays at sea level, and they're coming to Denver. So third, fourth quarter, that defense can get tired. So once you start to get tired a little bit playing in that altitude, that really affects you. So they just gotta work them, bro. Just fight. All you gotta do is fight. They fight them for 1, 2, 3 quarters. Jacksonville might be ready to give up by the fourth quarter because they fighting for that oxygen. So they just gotta fight. It's a dog fight. It's gonna be one of those games.
Yes, sir. And moving on, Siege. My Rams are going to be playing at home against the Bucks. I think that's a potential trap game. We got to stay focused, come out strong, dominate the line of scrimmage, and keep Goff upright. Our defense is going to come to play every week, and I'm becoming a big fan of Wade Phillips. I think he mixes up his coverage, his defensive scheme very well. When he wants to bring pressure, when he wants to drop into a zone that might confuse a quarterback trying to throw. I'm really impressed with what he's done, and I think we have the formula to really continue to win, Siege, and continue to make deep runs in the playoffs, if not contend for a Super Bowl.
I gotta ask you. You said this potential trap game. You really believe that your team has a chance to lose with Jameis Winston playing quarterback?
Hell nah.
Like, I mean, I feel what you're saying. It could be one of those trappy type games, but I just don't believe in Jameis Winston, man. Like, I just kind of gave up on him on this point, and I think the Bucks have a pretty decent team. Bruce Arians, he was supposed to be.
They almost won last
offense.
week too, man. They lost.
They should have won. They lost on that field goal by their kicker, and it was crazy because the Buccaneers took a delay of game penalty on purpose to move backwards for that game-winning kick. So it's like, why would you do that? Like, you even had a timeout. Take your timeout, keep the ball where it is, make the field goal easier. But anyway, it just seems like the Buccaneers always have field goal kicking problems. If you remember, a couple of years ago, they drafted Aguayo out of Florida State in the second round of the draft. Second round pick of a kicker. That never happens, and then he gets cut. Like, that's just a waste of a pick.
That's unprecedented.
It's crazy. Like, if you're gonna choose a kicker that high, he should be the best kicker of all time, honestly. And they cut that man. Like, he didn't even make it 2 years. So
we're gonna whoop the Bucks. I'm tripping.
You're gonna smack the Bucks, bro. Like,
we're gonna whoop them.
And a lot of people have been talking bad about Gurley. Like, what have you seen from Gurley as a running back? Because
he looks strong, dude. He doesn't look like he's hobbled. He doesn't look like he's holding back. He's physically there. He's physically abled. And, when I was watching the broadcast of the game, the announcers and commentators kept talking about his durability and his usage rate as far as how many carries he's going to get. And I thought that was interesting because that's important to know and important to enable these guys to have longevity within the season. If they're already hurt and banged up by like week 6, 7, and 8, that's tough, man, because you're gonna need them late in the season. I think they need to continue to manage his workload, but when he's in, he's shown that he can still make shit happen, dude. Like, I've seen him on plays he doesn't even get the ball and he's hitting somebody. You know what I'm saying? Siege, like, that goes without saying. So I'm encouraged, I'm impressed, and I'm looking to see it happen more, man. Like, and the other thing too, Siege, I just want to make note of, I'm a big fan of Todd Gurley too, because he just seems like he has good character too. He just seems like a good dude, man. Like, you don't see him outlandish in the media, into certain situations. That's not to discredit a guy like Zeke. On the field, he's a terror, but if I'm going to take somebody, Zeke's explosive, but I'm cool with Gurley, man. He's the full package. He's very versatile. He can catch the ball too, and he's got good character. So that's what people should also take note of, man, when they talk about some of these high-level athletes. I'm a big fan of the Rams. I'm wearing it right here. Let's go. I'm in this.
I got to ask you about your receiving core a little bit.
Cooper Kupp.
Obviously, you're high on Cooper Kupp there, but you also got Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods. It seems like Brandon Cooks is the guy that kind of takes the top off the defense.
Hell yeah.
It seems like Jared Goff takes 2 to 3 shots a game deep downfield to Brandon Cooks. He had a really nice catch that I saw last week with the Rams. And you got Robert Woods, who's kind of the mix of Cooper Kupp and Brandon Cooks. He's a good with the intermediate routes. He's good short and he's good deep.
Robert Woods,
so he kind of does it all. So like, what do you think of that dynamic with Kupp, Woods, and Cooks?
That's interesting you bring that up, Siege, because it just made me realize that they don't really have like a tall, lengthy threat. Like their big threat over the middle is Higbee. And we also have Gerald Everett, a guy from South Alabama who's solid. He's a big physical presence, big body, big target for Jared. I think they have the right pieces in the right places to succeed with the personnel they have as far as the shorter guys. Like Cooper Kupp ain't that big, Cook ain't that big, and Robert Woods is like 6'1", dude. Like he's not that, like these guys aren't like massive dudes. You know what I'm saying? They're just very skilled and crafty, man. You wonder why? I mean, you can educate us, Siege. Why is Cooper Kupp excelling at the next level,
Uh,
specifically within his route running?
just because I think he's a well, first of all, he's a technician. He was like that in college, so he takes pride in his craft and being real decisive with his cuts and his routes and things like that. But I think what separates him, just like what I said with Akib, is his film study. I read an article one time where they highlighted Cooper Kupp and his film study, like the way he's able to read defenses. Because he plays in that slot, so a lot of his routes are based off what the defense is in as far as their coverage. So I think he's really smart football player. So I don't think he's doing a lot of thinking out there. I think he's really reacting off just instinct and just natural, just being able to read a defense. So it's just things like that that you can't teach, which makes him unique. He has decent speed. He doesn't have the size. Well, he has. He's not a big guy. He's
He's
6 foot, whatever. He's not, big or small necessarily.
yeah.
But I think he gets it done with his brain, and I think he's a worker. And I believe him and Jared Goff get together every offseason and throw hundreds of balls to each other, so
Well,
they
yeah.
got that connection tight.
And that you can't substitute that, man. When you have that on a team, you got a team that really believes and is really like on point, man. Tough team to beat, my Rams. And we'll move on. Siege, a couple more topics here, man. Take it over. Cowboys and Saints.
What a game. Would be pretty much the game of the year early, besides that Ravens Chiefs game, if Drew Brees didn't
If
get
Drew
hurt. But
Brees, yeah.
yeah, obviously Drew Brees is out, so it kind of changes everything. But I think this will be a game that the Cowboys win. I really like the Cowboys this year. I think they're really solid all around. Prescott's having an MVP caliber season. He's like his QBR's through the roof. He's making smart plays. He's using all his weapons. He's not turning the ball over. Zeke is kind of getting back into form a little bit. He's starting to get his legs back and make more explosive runs. The offensive line is that offensive line, and like I said, their defense is solid. So I'm definitely picking the Cowboys to win this game. But when these two teams meet up in the playoffs, I think Drew Brees and the Saints will win.
Wow. All right. Hey, you had one. I'm going to get one too. I'm going to roll with the Saints. I'm going to
Yes,
roll with the
sir.
Saints. I'm going to say that the Cowboys are up right now. But I think this is a game they can lose, and I think they lose. I think the Dallas Cowboys lose, and they kind of humble themselves from this loss. I think this is a perfect time for them to lose. They're playing on the road, so New Orleans is in that dome. You said it yourself, Siege. Dome teams play better at home, and it's just a different aura, a different energy. You got to believe Teddy Bridgewater is going to be ready to go and do whatever it takes. He might even excel more at home. He just got a road win against the Seattle Seahawks, and
It's
Dallas
true.
Dallas is coming off playing one of the weakest teams we've seen in the recent years in the Miami Dolphins. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
who
It
has
could be
Dallas
more
beat
of a
this
trap
year,
game.
Siege? Who has Dallas beat?
I'm not sure who they beat, but like you said, they played the Dolphins last week, and they didn't exactly blow them out. But I mean, you can't use that really against them. That anything they could have been trying out new schemes, new things, not really pressing too hard to beat the Dolphins. But maybe they took it easy against the Dolphins to get ready for this game against the Saints. So
Oh.
you got to think about stuff like that too. You never know.
Well, I mean, let's be real, man. Dallas is surprising everybody, and they're a hot team right now. They're only giving up 14 points a game, Siege. 14.7 points a game. That's legit in the NFL. That's pretty good.
They got a really good defense, and I actually hear some Jalen Ramsey rumors possibly to that team. So
Whoa.
if they can make that happen, that'll be monumental for that organization.
So I'm gonna go with the Saints though. Siege at home. They're the home dogs against a hot Dallas team. I'm rolling with the Saints, and then that should wrap it up, Siege. Unless you want to close us out with one more matchup, that Monday
We
night
could the
game.
Monday night. Yeah, we could talk about the Monday night. Not the most exciting game of the week. If you look at the Monday night football slate, they're kind of weaker games this year. I think they need to do a better job of scheduling those Monday night games. But you got the Steelers and the Bengals, so divisional game.
Both
Like I said about the
winless.
other teams, yeah, crazy, right? You would never thought about that with the Steelers. But about both winless teams, both two desperate teams. So, it's a Monday night football game, nationally televised. I think both teams will come out ready and desperate. But games like this, I'll take the home team, and I believe the Steelers are home,
Steelers
correct?
are home,
Yeah, so that'll make it easy for me
and
to
they're a
predict them
four
to win.
point favorite too. 4 point favorite.
I think it might even be more than that. So that may be a good game to bet, against the spreads. I think that'll be more of a decisive win for the Steelers. I don't think Andy Dalton is really doing anything too impressive on the road, and I think the Bengals have a couple pieces here and there, but I don't believe in them as a whole.
That means, Siege, that you believe in Mason Rudolph.
Hey, I believe in Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph. I mean, shoot, yeah, Mason
Mason
Rudolph could be the real
Rudolph,
deal. You never
dude.
know. It looked like he wasn't too shook playing last week. Obviously, Big Ben is out, but they're the home team, and they just traded for Mika Fitzpatrick. So whenever you make a trade like that and give up a first round pick, you obviously believe that your team is talented enough
Damn.
to still win games. So they're still all in on this season. So I think they'll get that win. They have to get that win. It's a must win. More for the Steelers than it is for the Bengals.
I hate this game, dude. I would never even talk about this game because I don't like Mason Rudolph, man. He's a spread quarterback, and they're trying to have this guy do 7-step drop backs. Man, hell no, dude. That's not. You can't do that, man. Keep him in the shotgun. Keep him 4 wide or trips. You know. But that being said, it's a primetime game on Monday night. The Bengals are the road team. Andy Dalton's a veteran quarterback. I would tend to lead toward the Bengals in this matchup, just for the simple fact that Dalton is an experienced quarterback as opposed to Mason Rudolph at home. If the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win, they're going to win on the ground. They're going to ride their running back. What's his name?
James Conner.
James Conner. But he's only got 34 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown this year. That's garbage.
Yeah, that's pretty trash. Super trash. What do
So
you think?
I have nothing optimistic to say about Pittsburgh other than I like Juju, but if you ain't got a quarterback to get you the football, I mean, damn. Juju's got
Shit.
14 catches this year, 243 and a touchdown in 3 games.
Yeah, big difference from what he had last year. But hey, maybe this is one of those 7-6 games where Bengals get two field goals and then the Steelers just get one lucky touchdown off of Juju Smith broken tackle in the
It
open
could
field.
be.
Maybe it's one of those type of games. Terrible game for Monday night, but would it be in a primetime game? It's pretty fair that we talk about it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Bengals though. Siege on the road, I think they get it done.
Yeah, give me Pittsburgh.
All right, bet. Well, it's been a pleasure, Siege. Another episode in the books. Let's make sure to hit the like button on this video, people, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And we're coming at you with Up on Game, your boy Young Cantu with Young Siege, new
Cheer,
NFL
cheer.
podcast. And we're trying to take next steps and improve everything that we're doing with this. Stay tuned. It's the fourth of many. And I'm Aaron Cantu. You can follow me at Airshow15 on Twitter and Instagram. My co-host Siege.
Yes, sir. You can follow me on Twitter at GodFamFootball. Follow me on Instagram at Siege Morgan. That's Seige. Last name Morgan, Morgan. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Like you said, we're gonna make little small improvements every week with production.
We got the backdrop.
Yes, sir. We're making these improvements every week. We're gonna get it better and better. We're gonna start exposing it more and more, and stick with us and continue to watch us grow and develop, and we'll be coming to you every week. So let's get it.
And we out.
Chill.